One of the most important messages I don't really touch on enough, and I need to touch on tonight for Purple Power, is timing. Timing is really going to be a big key come this next Tuesday night. Because for the first time ever, especially for the Senate, this will not be a situation where Wednesday morning you wake up and you know exactly everything that happened and everything is done, and we can just sort of, prepare for the future. That may not happen. And ultimately, the lack of clarity about timing, what's called election uncertainty, whether it's a runoff race or a contested race, may cause confusion for a lot. It may cause stress for others. And what's important to understand is that Purple Power remains focused despite all those twists and turns. You have to remain optimistic, focused, and dedicated to where you're going. You're not alone. We're all together, and we're going to get through this together. It's a great evening, and I'm so excited you're here. 2 days to Halloween. A few more days after that to election night. Coincidence? I think not. This is Purple Power. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm so glad you joined me. It's a Thursday night. You almost made it to the weekend. Hope you got your costume ready. I mean, you just don't scare anyone. Is anyone going as whatever her name is? I'm sure that someone's going to be sending me some pictures that they dressed up like your favorite cast of characters from that city that we've been covering. But if you do, be prepared for people to come up to you and ask you, "Where's my stimulus check?" If you've not, go to the Funniest channel, subscribe because we're going to get through this together, whether we're wearing a costume or not on a recording today. You might have to join me tomorrow morning because you never know what may happen. Also, like this video because it's really helping the algorithm. In this video, I'll be going over what you should really focus on going into Tuesday. And that ultimately, there will be a lot of people that may be anxious or a little baffled or a little confused or a little edgy because when they wake up on Wednesday, like, what's going on? I thought we were supposed to have results, and that may not happen. All right, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that actually Mark Zuckerberg, in in an earnings call with analysts late tonight, because Facebook reported earnings for third quarter minutes ago, told analysts that he is worried about uncertainty the night after the election, the day after the election as well. And he said that uncertainty could cause civil unrest. I mean, when I read that, I was just like, Mark Zuckerberg said that? So he clearly may be more teed into stuff that I don't hear or you don't hear or you don't see as the head of a social media company. And is that true? Is that possible? What I do know is that I want you to be prepared for everything that's involved. When we talk about stimulus, when second stimulus or third stimulus, I've always prepared you for delays. Delays are sort of where we are. When we're dealing with government, delays are par for the course. And the very first day that I recorded on this channel, I dealt with delays in front of an empty, locked down, abandoned Hermosa Beach with the finger going like this. I said, you will get your money. And this was dealing with a strange delay. That was an EIDL grant that said in the actual form, can you imagine? The actual form said it, you're going to get paid within 3 business days. It actually said that. And you sign the form and you're like, well, the form says 3 days. Why would you put it on the form if it doesn't mean 3 days? People didn't get paid in 3 days. And when I mean people didn't get paid, I mean no one got paid. There wasn't like, a few of your buddies didn't get paid. No one got paid. And then it went on. It didn't go on for 3 weeks. It almost went on for, an eternity. The program went live in late March, and by mid-April, people were really antsy as hell, thinking, was this a scam? It said 3 days, and it's now been over 3 weeks. Ultimately, you woke up one morning and there was a big drop. At that point, Javier Carranza at SBA did a massive drop one night and just paid grants to a ton of people on a particular evening. I think it was April 21st or April 22nd. Imagine you had waited a month and needed that money. The pandemic was roaring and you needed those thousands of dollars, and then it landed. What made it worse was the amount that landed was not what you expected. That's not even what we're dealing with stimulus. At least with stimulus, we know the amounts. With that, they changed the amount. So people were expecting $10,000, they received $1,000. Imagine that. What's important to understand what's going on Tuesday is that there is a lot of uncertainty. There are races out there that's too hard to call. There are races that are too close. There are races that could be contested, and there's races that could be runoffs. The net result is when you wake up Wednesday morning, you may not know which party controls the Senate, which candidate will be your next president, which state is determining the balance of power, or which states are still at issue. What's going on is a lot of twists and turns, and ultimately this can impact your focus on stimulus, and I don't want it to. There's two things that we often cover on this channel, that I often cover on this channel when we talk about stimulus. It's the amount and the time. When would you get the stimulus, and the amount? And I've always said to you, I don't want you to get anxious that you need the check tomorrow because we're dealing with Congress. I don't want you to be anxious that you expect the check to arrive then because we're dealing with Congress. And we're also dealing with the president. What's important to understand is a couple factors, and I deal with them on a regular basis on this channel, but because there's new subscribers, I always want to go over them again so you all understand this. What's important to understand is that until there is a law, a stimulus check cannot go out unless it's an executive order. If there's an executive order, a stimulus check can go out. If there's a law, the stimulus check can go out. But until there's no law, it cannot go out. To become a law, a bill that to provide you a stimulus check must be voted upon and approved by the House of Representatives, voted and approved upon by the Senate, and signed by the President. All three events must occur, not just one, not just two, but all three. Then, the next thing that sometimes confuses viewers is that they think that the day at which the President signs the bill to become a law is the day you get the check. No, this is the federal government. They don't send out money overnight, meaning that the president signs the bill into law on a Tuesday doesn't mean receive the money on a Wednesday. This is the federal government. It takes time to route money. They're not your local bank. They're not like Bank America down the corner, or Chase, or Citibank. They don't just send out the check overnight. They can't. They literally cannot. Now, they can do it pretty quickly, but they cannot do it in one day. Steve Mnuchin has told us a lot of things over time that sometimes have turned out to be untrue. But one of the comments he has made several times, which have been confirmed by third-party reports as accurate, is that once something becomes a law or is signed by the president by executive order, this group, I'm not talking about the Biden administration, I'm talking about this group, a potential Biden administration, you could receive it within 10 days after it becomes law. Okay, you got that. That's for a stimulus check. When we're talking about all this other stuff, you're dealing with a lot more of a hot mess. And that's what I want you to stay focused on. I've had so many viewers that have qualified for unemployment, and it just took a while. The reason why I've recorded so many hundreds and hundreds of unemployment videos on this channel is because the day at which FPUC went live, which was April 28th, or supposed to go live, only a few states had to go live. Several states didn't even start it for weeks because they had problems with the computer systems. And then when they went live, they had computer hacks. And then when they went live, they were delayed. And then when they went live, they had problems with the check processing. You see what I'm getting at? Is that ultimately things go slowly. On Tuesday night, what's important to understand is that the following events will likely occur. First, races may be contested, and those may impede your ability to get a stimulus check. What does a contested race mean? It means that the loser says, I don't agree with the results. I'm sorry. And when they contest the election, it means they go to court. They file a lawsuit. Now, as if this is not enough. Yeah, put down your feet and grab a cup of coffee because it's about to get dirty. The Hot Mess Express is, do you hear it? It's driving into town. Here comes the Hot Mess Express. There is several reports that claim that Hillary Clinton once told Joe Biden to get a constitutional attorney in every state because she expects Donald Trump to make constitutional claims of election irregularities and to dispute the election results in every state. Now, this is purely gossip. We don't know this from Hillary Clinton per se, but what's important for you to understand is that the way contested election results start is in a state. And with more than one state in this country, you could literally have 50 plus contested election presidential races. You could have at least you could have the presidential race contested in at least 50 different states, and that just goes up and up and around through the court systems. This is not like Al Gore and George Bush. Remember Al Gore and George Bush, the hanging Chad in South Florida? Remember that? That was just one place and one problem. What many are anticipating is a lot of problems claimed in a lot of different places. And just, yeah, you get the point. So that's the presidential race. Then there is the issue, and then you can also have contested senatorial races. Then you have the problem of election uncertainty, which stems from runoffs or ballot irregularities. This is when no one's complaining about something, is when the election officials say, hey, we have a problem, we got to fix it. We don't know the results, sorry. Or there's runoffs. In Georgia is the prime example of where America may be very tense, and I don't want you to be tense. This is why we're doing this positive video, is that stimulus relief by second stimulus by act of Congress, specifically the Senate, might be problematic if you don't even know who controls the Senate. Let me explain to you what happens. When you wake up Wednesday morning, you may not know whether or not the GOP still controls the Senate. They currently control the Senate. As we said today, the GOP controls the Senate. People always say Mitch controls the Senate. Well, no, it's a little more complicated than that. The party in control controls the Senate. What that means is that there's more Democrats than Republicans in the Senate. And when there's more of one party than the other, it means that when a bill comes there, they're like, oh, let's vote on this bill. Then it means that the party that has more members gets more votes. I have 60 parties in my party. I have 60 members in my party. You only have 10. Well, 60 versus 10, we're going to win every time something comes up for a vote. That's what that means. Now, on election night, you may not know if that 60-10 split is still the same, or if it goes the other way, that suddenly my opponent now has 60 members of his party in the Senate, and my party only has 4. The problem is we may not know those results after election night. Why? Because, for example, in Georgia, they need to have a runoff potentially if the candidate doesn't get more than 50% of the votes. What? What are you talking about? Yes. In Georgia, they have a rule that they have to get 50% of the votes to be the next senator. And guess what? There's 3 candidates running for the position. Oh my God. So 30-33? Yeah. Gotta do a runoff. Congratulations. Well, when's the runoff? It's not tomorrow. It's not next week. And so that causes a lot of confusion. What's important to understand is your owed stimulus, and I don't want you to be anxious about the timing of the stimulus. I talk so much on this channel over recent days about how much stimulus, how big a stimulus, how many checks, how many, what time, multiple stimulus checks, retroactive hazard pay, how much hazard pay. I do that all the time, but I don't often talk about timing. And I wanted to do this video so you feel calm to understand that timing may be delayed, but ultimately you'll get your stimulus. Let me go over some incredible comments and questions from yesterday's recording. Lisa, if Nancy doesn't want her give us stimulus food and rent, she can at least give us gift cards so we can get our hair done for the holidays. Lord. Lewis Wiley. Hey, I'd have to remember, if we expect nothing, we get nothing. If we expect something, we get something. I love that. Thank you, Louise Wiley. Beautiful. Dorothy Perkins. I see as positive as I can. Every day I see Nancy Pelosi on TV. You know what? I'll get to her in a second. Kimberly Bray. I agree. We need to send to Washington, get our money. we need to send you to Washington to get our money. If anyone could do it, you could. I really could. I do agree, Kimberly. Not to be egomaniacal or anything. I really think I could. I think these people have just been silly about the whole situation. Grim Reaper, it's pretty damn positive. Difficult to be positive when people are homeless. Charlene Ramirez, Purple Power, you will never get up. You're a very strong family. I thank you, LA. You're so awesome. I appreciate that, Carlene. A100, they must be keeping our stimulus for those rich families. Dimitri Smith, we love the work you do as well. Connie Hamilton, very interesting, informative overview of your channel. Having a defeatist attitude will only hurt us more. So please, Purple Power, remain positive through all the stupidity. LA, you're a great teacher coupled with a marvelous sense of humor, which is so needed. Hugs. Thank you. I was told that on the first week of this channel. That's why this channel is how it is today. The viewers told me that. I did not know it. So that's why the focus of this channel remains how it is today. Finally, a personal message. A personal message, it actually comes from you that I learned again yesterday. Yesterday and the day before, I saw a couple comments from viewers saying, I'm just tired of hearing about her. And I was too. You remember when I first referred to her as the Temple Doom? I referred to her as the Temple Doom because I was just tired of hearing about her. I was tired of her antics and just tired of it. And so I referred to her as Temple Doom because I didn't have to think about her in the way in which, we visualize her. And so yesterday and the day before, Pelosi versus Mnuchin, the video that appears at 5 o'clock, was doing less traffic than any other video on this channel. I mean, substantially less. And it is a tough time slot. It's always been a tough time slot. But I thought, you know what? I just have a sense that people sort of feel how I feel about her at the moment. That you just don't want to hear about her anymore. And so today, if you did not catch, I launched a new series in that time slot. Pulled Pelosi versus Mnuchin, pulled it off for the time being, and said, let me test a new show with you and tell me if you prefer this instead. Street and Stimulus. And it's more along the lines of what this recording was, financial news and how it impacts your stimulus, which people apparently have been liking lately. Boy, the numbers were absolutely through the roof in the first 30 minutes. The video was the most watched in its first 30 minutes that any video has ever been in that time slot that I can ever recall, which says to me that people were absolutely feeling the same way. It also was teed up by a viewer who yesterday said, you know what, I'm just tired of her and her things. Can we just focus on us? And I said, yeah, we are. And so I understand that Steve Mnuchin wrote a letter today, and I understand she said something and he responded with a letter. You know what? My response was, until you start showing us numbers and economics and where the stimulus is and how many stimulus checks and when they're applying and retroactive, I don't want to hear your silliness anymore. I don't want, go get your hair done. Go tell the hairdresser. Yeah, the guy you're negotiating with is rude to you. Go tell the hairdresser. I'm not your hairdresser. If I was, your hair would look better than that. Okay, go to the phone show and subscribe, because who takes care of you better than me? And also like this video. Coming up tomorrow morning is Early Mornings LA. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay in LA for more.